Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest indoor adventure in Ghosts of Saltmarsh, The Styes, Part 3. Today is April 2nd, 2020, and you are loved. And that is a very important thing that we like to remind each of our listeners at the beginning of each and every single one of our sessions. If this is your first time joining us, you can check out all of those past messages at youtube.com/indooradventures, or if you are more of an audiocast-oriented individual, consider finding us wherever audiocasts are made available for free. We also have a Patreon set up, so if you go to patreon.com/indooradventures, you can gain access to our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from the community, but also from each other. And for the next foreseeable future, all of our Nights in the Courtyard episodes are going to be up for free. So I understand if you don't necessarily want to help support the show financially, or can't support the show financially, but still want your questions answered. Don't worry, we gotcha. Other than that, if you already support us and are in need of a new sweater or mug or poster, something along those lines, consider going to indooradventure.redbubble.com. We have all sorts of merch up. We got ham pants, we got posters, t-shirts, mugs, all of the things that I have already said. Even a shower curtain. No one's bought the shower curtain yet, but who knows? Maybe someday soon we'll include it in a giveaway. I don't know. I just want somebody to have it. I think it's fun. Other than that, that is it for my spiel. So, hey Dingo, who you playing tonight?
I'm Dingo, she, her, and I am playing Hish Sunguard, the half-orc fighter. He, him.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Reeves, he, him. I'm playing Ulman Dark, the sword, he, him, and Ham Dark, the slime creature who uses the nail.
Hi!
I'm Cyber, he, him. I play Albus, he, him. That's it. That's all I got today.
Hi everyone, I'm KyleWithAnN. I am playing Jilfa'en Lyrandar, the half-elf cleric, and we both use she, her.
And I am the indoor adventurer, and tonight I shall be your dungeon master. So, last we left off, after a brief discovery inside of the Hopenera Asylum, Albus, Hish, and Jill ended up encountering a small rat which had been tasked with tailing Jill at the behest of one Ulman Dark. This rat was then named Ches, and it became Hish's new child as you all made your way back to the ship. Once you were aboard Triumph, Jill, you and Albus decided to use a scrying spell on the aboleth formerly known as Skofka, in which you ended up seeing this creature having a conversation with a very bloated-looking individual. After the conversation was finished, it seemed like Skofka was actually able to see your scrying sensor before you noped the fuck out of there, and after which you were able, you went back out onto the ship's deck, and it was then Jill, that your family members decided that they were going to pay their visit for dinner. After a rather tense family dinner was set out, Jill, you ended up speaking with your brother Maros, who agreed that they would try and get you into some form of communique with one Mr. Dory, the man who has been hiring your family members, as well as a lot of people within the Styes, to work in his fishery. It was also at that point that you all decided that you were going to call it an evening, with Albus going to sleep, Hish and Ulman also going to rest, and then Jill having a bit of a lengthy conversation with Tharisden, potentially about, what the reason behind his chaining was, as Tharisden had asked initially how your family gathering went, and upon asking him back, he let you know exactly what happened the last time he met his family. So, let us kick off. That is going to be first thing in the morning. You are all either getting your found family style breakfast, or at least are in the processes of waking up. What is everyone's morning plans? What are you guys wanting to do for the day?
The problem is, we planned last week what we were going to do this week.
I don't even think there was a plan. It was just, hey.
No, there was a plan.
We're gonna go talk to your family,
Yes. I was going to go talk to my brothers.
and then we were gonna go talk to
Individually.
Mr. Dory,
Yeah, and then I was going to get Maros to introduce me to Mr. Dory.
and then we were gonna establish some sort of figurehead leader that is you, because you read through the laws of the city and discovered a loophole that makes you ruler of this land. And then we're gonna establish the EPA and clean up this place.
Right. So our priorities are EPA.
Oh, and then there's a terror in the sea, I guess.
No. EPA is at the very top. We have to fix the pollution. Then we have to ingratiate ourselves into society, or maybe that's a means to that.
Yeah,
And
that's what I think. Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to throw a dating sim in there somewhere, and then way at the bottom is Scotsman and the Kraken.
Wait, where's the dating sim?
Jill, you can't participate because they're your brothers.
Good. Okay. So is it brothers, Dory, and then see where that leads us?
Sure.
Cool. All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right, sounds good. So, which brother are you planning on meeting first, Maros or Rynan?
I guess maybe Rynan first, because I think after I talk to Maros, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, take me to Mr. Dory, please."
All right, sounds good. So, thankfully, Maros and Rynan had pointed out the ships that they call their own, and you are all waking up enough. With enough time that you're actually able to go and communicate with your two brothers before nightfall and before they set out. So upon making your way there, it's pretty easy to at least spot their ships, as again, they were able to point them out even though it was from farther away. And as you're asking around, very quickly, you see that Rynan's crew actually does give him quite a bit of respect. It seems like he runs a very tight ship, but there are still some reservations that his crew members have. Make an insight check.
You don't mind if I just vibe check this whole crew? Here we go. That is a 12.
Okay, so with a 12, what you'd be able to get is that some of his crewmen are a little unpleased with the way that Rynan treats them, primarily in that he has a close group of people that he has become close to, that he considers to be like the necessary crew members, but these other crewmen are treated more like cogs and part of a greater machine. Like, it's like he doesn't take the time to get to know them, but he still commands their respect.
Mm-hmm.
And when you finally get the chance to meet with Rynan, he is in the process of kind of getting everything set up, and sees your group aboard his vessel, and he's just, hello, sister. Captain Hish, and like nods towards you, Hish, and then Albus, Ulman. What can I do for you? Well, we're gonna be heading out here relatively shortly, but we can take some time.
Yeah, I was wondering if I could have just a moment of your time alone, if you're not too preoccupied. I know you
No,
need to
it's
set out for the day.
It's fine. Here, and he'll lead you into his captain's quarters. And his captain's quarters, much in the same way It's almost like how you have kind of made your first mate's quarters not necessarily like a crew quarter, but it's more of your room. Rynan has kind of done the same thing. Like, he has definitely made this room very much his own. Whereas Hish, for example, really hasn't done much to the captain's quarters. Rynan has definitely has like some hanging plants that he's put up. He seems to at least trying to make this small enclosure as much of his own as he can. I would like to apologize about last night. Please let Ulman know that the food was very good. It's, you know how Maros gets. And he's always like that.
I mean, yes, that's a fair and valid observation, but you're not always like that.
Look, you haven't been around for a little bit.
I'm well aware.
Jill, I have always had to stake my claim. As the youngest in our family, I've always had to fight to get any kind of attention, get anything that was just mine. I was hired first by Mr. Dory, not Maros. I gave him the recommendation. And he has done everything that he can to make himself seem like the better sailor, when in all reality, obviously, things have not been the best. To say the least. And so when I hear Maros talking about our employer who was able to get us to this point the way that he does, it's hard for me not to not be upset about that.
You seem to respect Mr. Dory a great deal.
He pays well. He pays very well. And he saw something in me that a lot of the other sailors around here didn't. He saw promise. He saw potential, and I'm a captain now. I'm not just some fucking ABS. I'm not cleaning the deck. I run this ship. That's thanks to him. So
And your crew seems to respect you.
they damn well better.
I think you could ease up a little bit.
The reason I'm so harsh on them is because I want us all to make a fair wage. I want us all to get paid. And the only way we're all getting paid is if we all work as hard as we possibly can. So if I see people slacking and I see people doing things that they're not supposed to do, I'm not going to stay quiet about it.
Now, is that something that Mr. Dory has told you?
What does it matter if it is?
Can I insight check?
Yeah, roll an insight check.
Hello, brother?
Brother.
That one's better. That's a 22.
This is not something that Mr. Dory has necessarily enforced in Rhinen. This is something that he has had a taste of power. And maybe your younger brother wasn't the right person to be a captain, but now he's the captain of a ship.
Yeah. She'll just be like, well, I just want to make sure that in the process of trying to prove yourself as the capable individual you are, that not only do you not burn yourself out, but burn your crew out as well. Crew's only as strong as the captain is. And so if the captain is feeling weak, unsupported any sort of way, then your crew's going to suffer for it.
You think that you can just come back and tell me how to run my ship?
I'm not telling you how to run your ship.
It's
I'm
kind of what it
telling
sounds
you
like.
not to run yourself into the ground. And maybe those two things overlap. But I had to check on you because I was concerned.
And he gives you a very curt smile that quickly fades away. It is very much a almost dismissive smile. And he says, Mom's right. Do you know what you did to our family when you left? When a relative doesn't come home, the mind wanders. And when you left, Mom didn't sleep that night. And the next day, she went out and called in every favor that she possibly could to find out what happened. You left a note, which is one thing. But when we found out that you were hired onto a ship as a cleric, no less a cleric to her, well, a part of Mom died that day. And it had to have, because after she found out, she didn't speak to any of us for days. She just sat there looking at the fire. And we gave her food and water, but you know how she gets. Maris and I started spending more time out of the house because we just didn't want to deal with it. And it was so glum. You had already taken everything of most importance from your room. It was just like looking into a void in our house. No contact, just a letter. And even then, we knew you were at sea. It was just like you vanished. You were just gone. And then those Ack Inc. people show up. And we have no idea what to expect. I haven't ever really heard of their organization before, but they had a parcel. And there was some gold in it, and the gold you send cannot fix what you broke when you left. And then you show up here and you try and pretend like everything's fine. You invite us onto your ship. And then you come on to mine and you start telling me how to do my job. You start telling me how to treat my crew. Why did you come back?
Are you done?
He just...
Right, well, you've said your piece, so I'll say mine. I left because I didn't want to put any of you in danger. You think someone willingly chooses to be a cleric of Umberly? You fool boy! Have you not paid attention to the stories? Perhaps you weren't there when I went overboard on the ship and drowned. Yes, I drowned. And the only way I could come back was through Umberly. So yes, I came back because I didn't want to die at sea. But being in her service meant that the moment that I fucked up even slightly, something could happen to you, something tomorrow, something could happen to father, something could happen to mother. So yes, I left because I thought maybe I went away that you all would be safe. It's not something I wanted to do. If I had things my way, I would have lived and died my days here. And even though I am no longer in her service, everything I do still, every slice I make is to make sure that our family is okay. Do you want to know why? In the midst of the rest of your neighborhood, why all the houses are rotting to shit and yours is thriving? You wouldn't even begin to understand, but just know that not a day goes by where I don't think of all of you, and it doesn't influence every choice I make. And I come in here not to tell you how to run your ship, but to check on you, because you're acting like an idiot. And I'm very proud of you for becoming captain, but it takes much more than the title to know how to run a ship properly.
Those words visibly pain him. Specifically that last bit.
Now, I apologize. I did not intend to come here and get heated. You have business to tend to. I think she'll stand up.
Jill, as you stand up, the back of your left hand is very warm. And you know that there is, from the inside of your glove, you can see that there is a little bit of a glow that seems to be coming from it.
Yeah, I think she'll just kind of take her other hand and put it over that one and just kind of like, you know, rub it and just be like, Well, good day to you then. And we'll just turn to leave.
Rynan doesn't say anything. So, what are Hish, Ulman, and Albus doing during this whole conversation that was happening in the captain's quarters?
Listening at the door, obviously.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah,
about the other two.
If we were there, then probably.
Okay. Make perception checks.
Come on. Well, that's a natural 1.
3.
Wah, wah, wah,
I, on the other hand,
wah.
got a 28.
So,
Wow, way to be different.
Albus...
You see, I have the unnatural prehensile ear ability.
Yeah,
I hate that.
I don't like that. That's bad.
You don't have to see it. It just appears on my leg.
That's
I hate that
even worse.
Sneaks down the pant leg a little bit.
This is the worst My Hero Academia power.
Ugh.
All right, so Albus, your migraine is still obviously going to be flaring up every once in a while. It's making it
Albus
hard
is going to try to
focus.
find some emergency chocolate. I keep the goth ant.
Hish, you're trying to listen, but Ches just keeps like giving you like little sniffles on the back of your ear. It's very distracting and obviously very difficult to pay attention to. Ulman, you hear the entire exchange between Rynan and Jill thanks to your prehensile ear.
Don't.
As he hears Jill getting up, he like ushers everyone back. Like, oh, back to the deck. Shuffle, shuffle.
Okay.
Casual.
Jill's gonna come out and she's going to like smooth her hair and just be like, "Are we ready to depart?"
I think Ulman is pouring coffee from a flask into Hish's mug and just like staring at you as it's not pouring anything anymore. Yes, sure.
He sort of slowly bats it away.
Did you get what you came here for?
Let's go see Maros.
All right.
All right. So
She
Heads
will
towards
just
the-
briskly walk ahead.
Heading towards the fancy 3-masted ship.
and the crew are all in much better spirits on this ship. Without even the need of an insight check, you can tell that there is a drastic improvement in morale between the people who work here and the respect that they show for your older brother, Jill. And even the members of the crew who are assigned to cleaning duty, they do so because they feel like that is what they owe the captain, not necessarily because it's what the captain expects of them. And as you are coming on board to this vessel as well, you can see that Maros is actually in the process of talking with some of his other crewmen, and they're having a laugh about something, and you see him kind of like clap one on the back a couple times, and then begins making his way towards a separate section of the deck, but then he sees you and yours, and he stops what he's doing, and he immediately comes over and sweeps you up into a hug, and just exclaims that he is so happy to see you.
Pleasure is equally mine, I'm sure.
It's good seeing all of you again. Come. What is it that you would like to speak to me about? Let's, if you'd like to come to my quarters. And he motions towards the captain's quarters of this vessel. And when you get there, you can see that Maros has set it up in a way where, even though his bed is kind of off in a corner, this isn't a study. This isn't a place that he himself spends a lot of time. There is a table that's kind of been set out. This is more of a place where there is planning, there is discussion. These captain's quarters are very much a communal meeting center as much as they are the place where he rests. Yeah, come, take a seat. What is it that I can do for you? Oh, by the way, Ulman, right? I didn't get a chance to say it last night, but delicious. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to check in. I spoke with Ryman earlier.
I'm sorry. That certainly explains your dreary demeanor.
I just was concerned because Ryan's always been a little prickly, but last night was something entirely different.
Things have changed. People change, sometimes not for the better.
When did you notice him become more like this?
And Maris scratches his forehead and says, he looked up to you. And then you left. And I get it. I understand that that wasn't something necessarily that was a decision you wanted to make. I don't think. Anyways. But he's never really liked me. I mean, we've always had our squabbles, but you were the buffer. Things were easier, to say the least. So when you left, apparently I was doing things wrong, but he ended up helping me get a job because, well, family helps family when they can. And I wound up with a better ship. And that's something that he doesn't particularly like. I can't really help that. I get better catch. But apparently my streak of luck is not something that he appreciates. Feels like maybe I owe it to him to have him have the I don't understand it myself.
He seemed very protective of Mr. Dory.
Yes. Yes, he is. That is... Have you ever seen someone with gold coins in their eyes before?
Yes.
That would be our brother. So when his employer is able to be a source of positive enforcement that he's been looking for from either you or myself or mother or father, But not only are they able to give him that reinforcement, but also pay him well, he's gonna get a little defensive. I mean, I also owe Mr. Dory a decent bit. I have my vessel now, and who knows, someday I'll be able to make my own fleet. But do I feel like I owe him the utmost respect? Not inherently. He showed up with money. He showed up with a decent idea as to where to actually go and fish, but I've made most of my own routes myself.
As a newcomer to this place, he was telling you all where to fish.
He had ideas.
Odd.
Albus perks up at this.
He said that he knew that, well, he had been studying the runs, is what he described it. He'd been, at least from what we were aware, he knew that there was going to be a windfall. He wanted people who were in on it, so he reached out.
Sorry, that's just my personal field of study. What sort of fish, what sort of migratory patterns was he suggesting?
Honestly,
Or just like what was the catch like?
well, when before we got here, there wasn't really much, and then it was a while before he showed up that we started noticing that there was an increase in, well, fish. But we just didn't have the resources necessary to put together the boats. So he came here. He helped us out with that. So we helped him in return, and when we started to, there is a total between myself and Rhinan, 5 masts that are used for fishing. Doesn't that seem like a lot? Didn't used to be this way. It would be 1 or 2 fishing boats. Nothing like this. We're the center. We are the center for fresh catches from Baldur's Gate to the mainland. If you want fresh fish, you come to Moran.
Brother, if you would be forthcoming with me for a moment, what's your read on him, this Mr. Dory?
Oh.
Detect thoughts.
All right, tag team, let's go.
I just want to make sure that he's given us the unfiltered version.
Yeah. I would say Meros says, I think that he is a shrewd businessman. He's generous, yes, but he asks for competitive prices. I don't think that his people skills are the best. And when he says that, Albus, you get a detect thought of, he stinks.
Do I get a visual?
You do not get a visual to go along with this. I think that I think he has a good idea, of where we can go and make some quality catches. Albus, you get he got lucky a couple times, and now we're hired on to follow his lucky guesses. And I don't know, I he gives me a paycheck.
Do you know how he managed to get his way onto city council at all? You said he's not really a people person, and I don't know, it just strikes me as odd.
What is the sound of two gold pieces rubbing against each other? Politics.
Doesn't surprise me. Do you know where he usually works out of? If we could get in contact with him at all.
Yeah, he works out of his warehouse in the alchemist quarter.
Oh, it suddenly makes so much more sense now.
And when he says that he works out of the alchemist's quarter, Albus, you get from Maros probably to be closer to all that perfume he buys.
Well, I suppose I could give him a shot. I'm actually looking to perhaps settle back down in Moran, and well, I'll be leaving my company soon, and I'll be in need of pay. I was wondering if the same brotherly, sisterly love could be extended this way. She'll bat her eyelashes a little, just like a little please.
I can help you get a job if you want. You already have your own boat. You already have your own crew. Is this really all of you? You only need 4 people for that vessel?
We're very efficient.
All right. Well, if you'd like, I could talk to him. See about setting up a meeting. Otherwise, you could always go and see if he's there. He doesn't ever really venture out onto the waters with the rest of us. He's too busy with paperwork and all of that. But if you wanted, if you had the funds for it, I mean, we wouldn't even have to work for him. Like I said, eventually I could make my own fleet. If you were all wanting to buy into it as well, we could start our own business here. We're our own bosses.
Well, I mean, I have to admit, I actually really love what you've done with this ship.
Thank you. It's not what I've done with the ship. It's really just the crew.
Do you mind if I take a look around?
Not at all.
Thank you. I think he stands up and gives a little nod, and he's gonna just do a casual sort of look around the ship.
Well, I suppose I want to at least meet the man who extended his hand out towards my family and helped them in a time of need. So perhaps I can make my own judgments. But I'm intrigued by your idea. However, I feel like I need to at least cover all bases. Surely you understand.
Of course. Never jump into something without thinking about it first.
and without drafting a very clear and concise contract.
And as you say that, Maros rolls his eyes a little bit. He says, yes, yes, yes. Now, the meeting will probably have to be for either tomorrow or later tonight. We're about to set out, so I won't be able to speak to Mr. Dory until I return. That be all right for you?
I'll look at Albus and Ulman. Be like, is that agreeable?
Ulman shrugs. More time to think up how to clean up this smog. City would be a lot nicer without it. I was sold on a very clean city, and if I'm gonna settle here, I'm gonna make it that way.
Rynan smiles and nods and says, there is definitely something to be said about overnight fishing trips.
All right. Well, as soon as you can, to your earliest convenience, if you wouldn't mind putting in a good word, I'd be most appreciative. And well, you know where to find us.
Of course.
Couldn't get there today.
And he nods. And with that, he'll stand up and says, I'll try and get you in as soon as we can. And he will give you another hug, Jill, and will kind of like tousle the top of your hair and give you a kiss on the forehead, and just says, I have to be going off soon, but tonight. I'll let you know when you can meet him tonight.
Thank you, Maros.
Of course. Anything for family. And then Ulman, Albus, what are... he obviously does not extend the same familial setting off to the two of you, but he still gives you a very polite nod and bow.
Yeah,
And he doesn't kiss me in my forehead eyeball.
No, he's not into that.
I
That's
think
DLC.
Ulman just goes in for the forbidden jutsu now, the handshake, and says, "Thank you for having us on your ship."
Of course. It was a pleasure. Hish, what are you looking for specifically? Or are you just doing like the most cursory glance?
I think Hish is looking for anything out of place, or anything that might suggest that this ship isn't what it seems to be, or any kind of religious feels like the wrong word, but religious iconography.
Okay. Make an
charms
investigation
and-
check.
Oh, my perception is much better. All right, everyone, wish me luck. I mean, it's a 10.
While you're looking around, you can't help but think to yourself, the crew all seem very nice. They all seem very ready. This is such a large ship, and it's being run by a bunch of fishers. If you were still on the Iron Duke, still doing your old sea bandit ways, oh my god, this would be such an easy target. But like, you're not doing that. You're not thinking about it that way. Not trying to think about it that way anyways. But like, this would be such a clean mark No one would even know that you came and went. And then this would be the new Iron Duke. But you don't end up finding any like large spires in the bilge to forgotten archdemons. You don't find any large swirling patterns. There's no like large muscular beating heart to symbolize that something's fucking weird in the innards of this ship. The closest thing that you find is that there are some charms that are set up that just seem to be basic wards for homage to Umberly. It seems like, while not necessarily the preferable god of sailors, they still they give her some charms as a treat.
They pay their dues.
Yeah, they pay their dues so that way this easy mark of a ship won't then find itself on the bottom of the ocean. But other than that, it seems like this entire vessel is ship shape.
Ship shape. Yeah, I think he skips back up to the deck and gives Maros, is that his name? Yeah, gives Maros a very firm handshake. Says, it's truly a beautiful ship you have here.
And at that, Maros just sort of smiles and nods and just, well, thank you. I appreciate the compliment.
It was a pleasure, Captain.
And he nods towards you as well.
Yeah, gives him a little.
You and yours are welcome aboard mine at any time.
Same for you. Shall we?
Yes. Let's depart.
Okay. So as you are departing and making your way, Jill and Ulman, the two of you, what's everyone's passive perceptions? I know that Jill and Ulman's are stupid high, so
19, baby.
how much,
Nice.
how much was yours, Hish?
17.
17. Albus?
9.
Okay.
But you have 3 eyes.
What do your aboleth eyes see?
I cannot see. I'm legally blind.
So Hish, Ulman, and Jill, as the 3 of you are walking with Albus in tow, you begin to hear the talks of some of the sailors on the docks, and there is a general air of worry about them, but the worry doesn't seem to be about where they are setting off to, but it seems to be where they are coming from. It seems to be related to the actual Styes themselves. And you overhear bits and pieces, but what you're able to piece together is it happened again. Last night there was an altercation that occurred in the alchemists' quarter. One of the sailors that was supposed to be aboard Rhinan's vessel earlier this day ended up going missing, and one of the other sailors is able to say that they didn't go missing. It was the lamplight killer. They got them. And you hear someone else say that they don't believe that it could have been the lamplight killer. They caught the lamplight killer. And if that was the case, why isn't there a body? But one of the others that you hear is that this sailor was last seen heading into the alchemists' quarter and then they weren't seen coming back.
I can't wait to get murdered.
And that's where we're going to go to our break for the evening. So I would like to say thank you to everybody who has stuck with us so far. We are going to try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes. So don't go no place unless it is to grab a food, grab a drink, grab a friend, or possibly go to indooradventure.redbubble.com and pick yourself up something nice. But we will try and be back shortly. So we'll see you guys then. All right, everybody. See you soon. Hello, everybody. We are back. So, our wonderful crew members have just heard that once again the Lamplight Killer has struck. But how could it be the Lamplight Killer? He was arrested days ago. So, let's get back into it. You guys have just heard about this kind of, this altercation that seems to have happened within the Alchemist's Quarter. What would you like to do?
Should we perhaps go to the alchemist ward?
I mean, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to look around, but especially during the day, but we should be careful.
Of course.
Hish kind of looks at himself and then over at Ulman, and then back to himself and says, "You know, I think we'll be okay."
I think because we are outside, Ulman is wearing his protective eye gear, which is just Ham has recreated the sunglasses that they had for their aviator tools.
All right.
So just big aviators.
And then have the rest of you also purchased eye goggle wear?
No.
Cool.
Not that I remember, but we probably should.
So I'd like for everybody who doesn't have protective eyewear to roll a Constitution save.
Are you gonna let me roll this? That is a... Oh, that's not my character sheet.
I got a 19.
Well, apparently my constitution save is +9, which I didn't realize. So it's a 15 + 9. So 23?
Yeah,
No, 24?
5.
Albus, there's
Albus!
something in your goddamn eyes again. Everyone
Ulman
else feels
looks around and is like, but eye gear, that was the first thing we needed.
I mean, I'm sure if there is a place to buy protective eye gear, it would be in the alchemist ward. I mean, you're doing science, you need to cover your eyeglasses, your
Well,
eyes.
Keep a lookout as we're on our way, then. But I suppose that's a direction to go.
I'm not sure that we'll find anything that can accommodate my situation, though.
Yes,
Maybe we could get some custom made.
I mean, you just keep this eye closed, and that covers it, and then you protect these two, and
you
you
need
are,
like a
you're there.
fashionable
or you
bandana.
could get a cool pair of sunglasses that have 3 lenses.
So I honestly, without new character art or anything right now, I'm just imagining like this guy with a 3 lens pixelated sunglasses, just like going over his face with deal with it.
Oh yeah,
And I'm here for it.
I'm okay with it. I would say make an investigation check to find a place that is currently selling eyewear.
24?
7.
Albus, you're just so frustrated at the fact that there's something in your goddamn eyes again. Ulman, you are able to find somebody who is willing to sell eyewear. It looks like there are definitely some premium prices that are currently being charged for said eyewear. It is going to be 75 gold pieces per set.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Omen really even bothers trying to haggle. He just like grumbles a little bit and hands it over.
Okay, sounds good. So you all now have premium eyewear. It looks rather fashionable.
Styling. Okay. So, let's see if we can get closer to where this disappearance occurred. Are there any like mumblings and whispers that give us any sort of indication where in the alchemist ward we can?
It is honestly not a hidden thing. Like,
Okay.
where this happened wasn't like in a central square or anything like that. But it doesn't seem like there are a lot of efforts being done to like close off a crime scene or anything like that. It like people are effectively trying to make it out like nothing has happened, that everything is fine. But when you get near this alleyway, it definitely looks like something most certainly happened here. You know, 'cause of the blood that just has not been cleaned off from the ground, and a little bit that has like since splashed up onto a wall. All things considered, it doesn't look great. A grizzly affair definitely did happen here, and you can see that the city guard was trying to kind of like move people along and get them out of the way, but business needs to continue as usual here within the alchemist's quarter, so there's not even that much of a guard presence. It's more of like someone sticking around so that way they don't catch you licking the blood off of the wall, and even then, if you were licking it, they might not stop you.
I think as we're looking there, Omen kind of furrows his eyebrows and looks over at you, Jill. I don't know a lot about scrying, but does having someone's blood make it easier?
I think, as a technicality, yes, if you have any part of their body, such as like hair, toenails, anything, I would assume that blood falls in that category. However, there is a caveat to that. If the person is no longer alive, the spell doesn't work, it doesn't take hold, there's nothing to really look through anymore.
What if they were altered?
In what way?
I don't know, if they were squidified?
Well, I assume because they would still be alive and still be, I imagine they'd have the same blood and be the same person. So I think it might work. What was that?
Might be worth collecting a sample just to give it a shot at some point. Maybe not now, but...
Well, do you have a vial? Do you have something I can... Oh, goodness gracious.
Omen does have a pack of alchemist supplies. So I think he goes over, closer to the scene and sees what he can pick out. If there's like any bits of flesh left over or
make an investigation check to investigate for flesh, I suppose.
I want to investigate a crime scene. Thank you very much.
How chunky is the salsa?
CSI Saltmarsh.
That's a natural 20. For a total of 26.
All right. So, oh man has died. I'm so sorry. Whew. So, with your natural 20, this is the gif of the lady that has like all of the trigonometry going on, but it is Ulman just scanning the crime scene. And Ulman, you go and you can start collecting samples of the blood, and as you do, you notice that there is like a small beetle that's crawling on the ground that seems to be like moving in a particular pattern, and you're able to see where the beetle's moving. And you notice that there are footprints of a human man, probably stood roughly around like 5'10", based off and a little bit more heavy set based off of the size and also indentation of the shoe. Based on the amount of blood splatter and the direction that it's in, you can tell what angle the slash came from that then did this fellow in. You can see drag marks of a body actually being pulled away from this area as the blood kind of sweeps in a motion more on the ground, getting caught up in the dirt, even though it doesn't seem to line up with the splash marks against the wall. So you know that there has been some alteration, tampering with this crime scene that you have begun to investigate. But the thing that is very odd to you is that the footprints of the would-be killer, they seem almost like they too drag. Almost like the killer isn't lifting their feet all the way up off of the ground whenever they move. And the footprints that are there are webbed. They seem almost like some sort of potentially aquatic-like creature is responsible for the damage that was done here.
I think Ulman has enough knowledge to put this together without me needing to roll anything. He knows about scum because he knows about Aboleth, right?
Yeah, and Albus is also Albus the day before had spoken about scum.
Okay, so he can make this jump here, I think. So he after picking around the scene for a moment, turns up and turns around. The lamplight killer is a scum.
I mean, yes, they're a bad person, but what does that have to do with anything?
No, Aboleth scum. The
Hey, now.
creatures they create. It's just their name.
How can you be sure?
It's not my fault linguistically.
No, but how do you know it's a...
Oh,
Walk us through the process.
If you come over here, the scene has been altered, but the biggest thing here is that the murderer's footprints both drag a little bit and are webbed. Webbed being the primary thing.
I see.
And Albus, when Ulman points out these footprints, yeah, you are very familiar with creatures that would then leave footprints such as these.
Yep. I see. Which is actually really hard right now.
Is there enough tracks for us to follow?
I can try. I'm not sure where they'll go, though, or how far they'll go.
I would say with your natural 20 investigation, make a survival check with advantage.
Would you like some Galaxy Brain on top of that?
Sure.
Cool. 1d6.
1d6. Sure. I'll just use that right now. I rolled the same thing on both d20s, which is a 10, and a 1 on the inspiration dice for a total of 12.
Hey. All right. So with your 12, it's a little difficult to track the drag marks as effectively as you would like. Had it been like rainy within the last week and no one had messed with the crime scene, perhaps it would have been a little bit easier. But again, given the lax nature of the Styes, there are many footprints that came through here. There are prints of animals running through here, rats, dogs. A plethora of creatures have come through this alleyway today. So you're having a little bit of a difficulty following them. But at the end of this hallway, of this alleyway, you can see that the drag marks seem to be leading towards what looks like the direction of a small bridge that extends over a canal that actually runs through the alchemist's quarter.
As we all round the corner, Ulman looks up over at the bridge and just points. Probably there. It's kind of hard to track these prints through everything else that's come through, and it's not even been rainy recently, but if I had to guess where they were going, it's that canal.
Well, I don't think we're following it into the canal.
Wait, do the prints go in the canal?
Ulman knows that the drag marks and prints lead towards the canal and bridge area, but he wasn't able to make a clear distinction as to the direction which they then for sure went.
Is the water in the canal just as gross and brackish as the water in the bay?
The water in the canal looks like an oil painting in a way that water should never look like. There are vibrant yellows and greens and some blues streaking through in an almost rainbow-like manner. Again, water should not look this way. But yet you see that there are individuals that are in the canal that seem to like have their pant legs rolled up, and they're just sort of like rifling through the mud and water, and every once in a while one will pull out what looks like a vial of something. They'll shake it, like open it up, do a little taste test, put the cap back on, and then put it into a bag. These just seem like very, very much they are scavengers here trying to get whatever they possibly can that was thrown away by the Alchemists Guild.
The bridge, where does it lead to? Like, is there some more stuff on the other side?
It looks like it's more just residential area. It's not necessarily any kind of industrial there's no industrial thing, and you're the direction that you're going as well, continuing over the bridge. If you continued past that point, you would it would take you less than 10 minutes to wander out of the alchemist's quarter.
Well, based on what we know, I don't suppose our perpetrator went to the residential district.
How hard would it be to follow the canal up,
can we get
upstream
to its
via
source?
the streets?
As far as getting to the source and following along the city street, they are roughly one in the same. You're able to follow along the canal, and after a while of going past it or following up it, you see that there is the source of the smog here within the Styes. It is a large, almost ramshackle style building that you would recognize as the Alchemists Guild. It seems like it was roughly about, it looks like at least 5 different buildings have all been just shoved onto each other. Like, one small corner of this building has like reddish painted walls and a certain kind of wood style pattern. Another portion is almost like a cinder block style pattern. Then another one has like these large glass windows that you can just see are very gross. They are covered by just grime and dirt, but there is like a single hole that has been cleared off so whoever is inside can actually look out and see the city as they work. It just looks like a very poorly constructed building that is doing its heckin' best to be an eyesore, both literally and figuratively, to the city of Moran. And Jill, you recognize, you remember when this building was first put in, back when you still lived here, and it looked like this before you left. Maybe not with like the levels of grime that it currently has on it. That seems to be new, but it still just looked like it looked like there was an argument amongst architects who were in the process of building it, and in order to be petty, they built it 5 different ways.
Well, probably came here.
Potentially. But don't suppose we can just march in there and say, hey, is there a fish person here dumping bodies? And also stop polluting while you're at it?
Or at least, well, maybe he didn't go here. If we're suspicious of Mr. Moneybags, didn't your brother say his warehouse was near here?
He said it was in the alchemist ward.
We should see if we can maybe figure out where that is and how close it is to this canal. Because they could have just taken the body back there.
I don't know where it is personally, but I assume we could ask around.
And as you are all sort of looking at the canal, the 4 of you see the door of this building open. And you see, you hear this individual first. It is a kind of deep, almost raspy laugh that comes from inside and says, "A pleasure doing business with you. A pleasure, of course, as always." And you see this large figure kind of coming out of the door frame, and they seem to be holding a satchel or a parcel, rather. And this figure, as they walk, their skin is almost a putrid looking white color. You can see that there are some mild lesions that they have kind of creeping up the side of their neck, and it seems like almost one half of their face is a little bit more drooping than the rest. Almost like they had some sort of shock to their brain that they were then able to survive, much in the way a stroke victim would have. And they are wearing nicer looking clothes, and you can see that it looks like there are like, how this figure is not able to realize it, or maybe they do and they just don't care. It almost looks like there are things that are like moving on the side of his right jowl, almost in an undulating insect-like manner. And they just nod very appreciatively towards whoever they were talking inside. And then they begin to just sort of lumber, swaying back and forth as they make their way outside, out of this building, back in the direction towards the center of the alchemist's quarter. And you see that there is a human man who ends up standing in the doorway after this figure leaves and just, okay, bye. And then you see them with that same smile reach around the side of the door, and they pull out what looks like a metallic canister, and they shake it a few times, and you hear a rattling from inside of the canister. They will then pull their shirt over their mouth, stand back, and they press the top of the canister, and you see a spray come out, and they are just spraying the entire entryway of where that person has just left from. And then they put the canister back and shut the door.
Indor, did that person look familiar?
Albus and Jill, this person looks very familiar. And now that you can see them more towards the light of day, a closer look would reveal that this person has a kind of receding hairline. And again, they do not look healthy.
Oh no,
Ma'am?
Oh, he's
Hot.
no! I'm here to shame.
Actually, I was thinking the like old man crab thing from Monsters Inc. Anyway, so that's pretty close. Just him rotting, a little bit.
Replace the crab with
Normal legs.
yeah.
You're good. Why I'm spacing the Darcy?
Dory. Mr. Darcy is from Jane Austen.
Yes.
Meanwhile, we spent all this time preoccupied about finding Dory.
Yes.
Ulman looks at everyone, and I think that's Mr. Dory.
Jill's just like looks at Albus.
I sure was talking to Scothka.
And it all comes full circle. Just like I thought it would.
We don't have to talk to that guy, do we?
Well,
We may need
we
to
could
kill him.
stealthily.
Telepathy. Totally set that in our mind.
I think we should kill that guy.
To be
You
fair,
know, that very important guy.
to be fair, in the Styes, no one would even look at you different for saying it out loud.
They have a point.
Should
I
we
mean,
see-
someone had to.
I think killing him now would be dangerous because we don't know where their lair is. And we need that information.
Should we see what he was buying? Maybe.
I didn't, but I was guessing perfume.
Well, I was asking if we should. What is the shop that he looked like he was coming out of look like?
That is the architect's nightmare of the 5 houses stuck in one.
Gotcha.
It wasn't necessarily a storefront as it was just like the headquarters of the Alchemist Guild.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, perhaps we could inquire inside about what he was buying.
I think it may be more prudent to just follow him.
I don't want to follow that guy.
Or we'll just get introduced to him tonight.
I mean, it's...
And do a little snooping while we're under good graces, and perhaps go in with a better idea of what we're doing. And an
And
advantage.
have we ever done that?
Never. And it's been bad.
You're right.
I know someone who could follow him. And Hish kind of looks down at his pocket.
He's
Ches
good
looks
at it.
up towards you.
Squeaking.
They make the hand motion for treats.
Ulman, can you help
yeah.
here?
Hey, Ches. Can you follow... In return for following that very stinky man, and being able to lead us back to whatever building he goes into, that's all. I'll prepare you something special.
Their eyes like bulge out a little bit and then come back in. They are excited about the prospect of this.
We gotta be very sneaky.
You see them bring a paw up and make a shush-like motion. And then a nod. And then they will like struggle out of Hish's front pocket and then just fall.
No!
They don't climb out, and no one has helped Ches move.
I didn't realize they were in a pocket.
I think Hish will try and like
I
kind of
would've
like
helped him
up,
out.
like catch him on his way down and set him down.
Oh,
and
yeah.
give him a little bit of jerky for the road.
Road jerky. Ches is
Yeah.
appreciative. And then you see them like look up at your group, nod, and then they just scoot off in the direction that Mr. Dory left.
We
Well,
may never see that right again.
don't say that, Albus. I can't emotionally handle it.
Ches
Jill
is
just kind of
very-
nods to Albus.
I have utmost faith in Ches.
He'll be back.
What I think we should do, though, is go back to our ship where the air is fresh and clean, and we can relax at ease.
Do you not want to hear back from the rat?
Yeah, I don't think the rat could. Well, he might be able to find his way back to the ship.
I suppose.
In
I
the
didn't think about
meantime, if you do want to go into the alchemist's shop,
I sort of thought that was why we were here.
I'll wait out here for Ches then, because I can speak to him.
okay, and I guess we'll go into the alchemist shop to...
Yeah, to what end? What's
Yeah,
your
what
game
a-
plan?
What are we doing here?
Figure out what he bought, right?
we
I
had
did-
we had that thought, but then we thought to follow him. But I thought we wanted to go to the Alchemist Guild for a different reason.
So
I mean, we
Connor
might
wanted to
yell
go to
at
the
them
Alchemist
anyway.
Guild. Connor wanted to go to the Alchemist Guild to see if he could find where Mr. Dory was. And we found where Mr. Dory was.
We presume. We're being pretty presumptuous.
I think we can. The man stinks. Very
You're
bad.
telling me there's only one stinky man in this town? Named
Albus wasn't
Styes.
here at the beginning of all this. So now there are 2 stinky men in town.
This town ain't big enough for the both of them.
It
You
ain't,
smell
and
like a
I intend to
businessman.
kill the other one. There's only room
Um,
for one filthy Phil here.
I mean, I have an idea of what I would like to do, but I don't know if it necessarily requires everyone. I think Jill would like to go and see if she could, like, either go to, like, this might be a little silly, but, like, the equivalent of City Hall or, like, a library to see if she could look at, like, some of the laws for the city and some of the, like, laws for the guilds and stuff to see if she could get their ass on paper.
Stop the pollution.
Yeah, if she's going to Mr. Dory tonight, she wants to, like, be prepared.
Okay. Sounds good. So, Ulman, you are just going to be waiting for Chez's return, and the rest of you are going to the library?
I'm going to stay with Ulman.
Okay. So, Hish and Jill are going to the library then. Got it.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Thank you, Albus. Buddy system.
let me see.
I also want to do something.
Okay. So, the closest thing would be City Hall.
Hell yeah. Let's take it to City Hall.
Okay. So, the two of you can then make your way to City Hall. Honestly, it will, all things considered, take maybe 20 minutes to walk there. It's really not that far of a distance. And when you approach, like once you have entered into the building, you see that there is a little gnomish man who kind of has like half moon glasses that have these almost like a silvered chain that holds them up through the back, and they just say, "Hello, may I help you?"
Hi. We were wondering if we could perhaps peruse some of the bylaws for this city. We're mainly interested in looking at guild regulations and getting an insight into that. Those are public records available for citizens, right?
Yes, they are public record. May I inquire as to why you're looking for these?
Well, I'm a very studious individual with a interest in career politics.
Make a persuasion check.
19.
That'll do it. And the clerk, very well, come this way, please. And they like push this chair back, hop down, and you see like the chair, like the level that they were sitting at is higher than their standing height. And so they walk around the counter, and then together with this clerk, they take you to the Hall of Records. And once you are there, so you wanted to look at, what was it again? Current city statutes and laws about what?
Guilds.
Guild regulations.
Oh, of course, guilds. Well, as you can see here, we have our common practices forms. If you would like to become a guild, you would fill out this form right here. Then we have a brief history of the finances for some of the guilds. Financial clarity is a very important part of being an industrious force within the city, as it were. You can find those here. We have some import and export sheets, ranging from
all of the rest of what trade princes are often interested in.
We're really just looking for the regulations, I believe.
Oh, well, that would be these over here.
And it's like 3 sheets of paper that end up getting brought out.
Here are the regulations. Is that all? Do you need anything more of me?
Are these current regulations? Have there been any recent amendments? Previous versions of documents? I think she's just gonna like rattle things off.
Hish is dead
to try and get as much as she can out.
It seems like this gnomish fellow is actually quite skilled in legalese and is able to keep up with you, Jill, and ends up letting you know,
as far as changes to the statutes of the city, there haven't been changes in, since the city's founding. We have always abided by the same rules set in place that are to be used by the rest of the trade princes within treat every city as if it were the capital, as it were. Now, as far as local changes, there have not been any local changes that I have been aware of since I have started working here, and I have been a clerk at City Hall for last week would have been 95 years.
Well, congratulations on
well,
that
thank
anniversary.
you.
And Jill, as you are looking through the statutes and regulations, yes, with as much of the paper ASMR as we possibly can, you don't end up seeing anything that says that you can't dump excess waste in the river. It's just that it is usually a general practice that most people don't, because it keeps the beautification of the city rising. As this clerk had specified, traditional businesses and guilds in treat every city as if it were the capital, as if this is the most important city that you work in. So there's nothing necessarily against destroying the land around you in order to make a quick buck.
Well, that is entirely frustrating.
What is? I'll be honest, I kind of fell asleep a little bit.
Technically, they're not doing anything wrong. They're just being dicks.
Well, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about any business that's a dick and operating in any city. So does that mean we have to get a law passed?
I've never drafted up a law before. But I can certainly try. And no time like the present to start.
I mean, I guess we've got the time, but don't forget about Mr. Dory or whatever.
Yes. That's all related, but this at least gives me some insight going in. Is there anything specifically related to the Alchemist Guild, or is this just like general?
It seems like this is very much a general regulations form. As far as regulations specific to the Alchemists Guild, most of it involves dealing with explosive materials, acidic materials, things that could possibly cause severe and instantaneous harm to many. But there doesn't seem to be anything about There doesn't seem to be anything about like smog regulation or again polluting the river.
Nothing about public health.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be much in terms of public health. It is more of just, please don't blow up your district. If you do, there will be a fine on the General Alchemists Guild with which you are associated.
All right. I suppose that's about as much as we're going to get out of this trip. Are you ready to reconvene?
I have never been more ready.
I appreciate you being such a good sport.
Of course. I'm glad this was a fruitful field trip for you. I don't know what you could possibly get out of this place, but...
Gotta go armed and ready when you're going into a potentially paperwork field situation.
I don't understand why we need, like, the paperwork. Why don't we just, like, why do we have to do it? Why can't we just tell City Council, hey, they're being dicks. Can they stop being dicks?
I mean, yes. That is kind of the goal I want to go with here, but should the need arise, you know,
I guess it would help to be able to hand them the bill already drafted, so it takes a lot of the work out of it for them.
Well, in any case, I have no idea how this meeting is going to go anyway, and my stomach is turning over onto itself just thinking about it, but we'll deal with that later.
From the stink or from how this could potentially go wrong in any way?
Both.
Yeah, I get that. It'll be all right. I hope.
Certainly hope so. Let's go.
Okay. So while Hish and Jill have been off at the library speaking with the clerk, Ulman, you and Albus have been standing around the alchemist's quarter waiting for Ches the rat to return.
Are we near the canal?
Yes.
I want to detect thoughts. Not anyone in particular. Just like a general vibe check, and also, is there anything in the canal? Is there anything sentient in the canal?
The closest thing to sentience that you find within the canal are the scavengers that are in the process of sifting around through the murky runnings. There doesn't seem to be any large scum-like creatures that are still inhabiting these waters. So there is not necessarily a response from the water that you would be able to get a vibe check on. Okay. What you do end up getting from one of these scavengers is I'm gonna make it big, I'm gonna make it rich, I'm gonna pull myself up by my bootstraps, and I'm gonna get so many gold pieces.
One cannot actually pull themselves up from their bootstraps, is what they get telepathically in their head.
And you see the figure like stands up straight, and the response that the scan that you
I don't
get
let them
again,
respond.
No, they aren't necessarily responding to you. This is through your detect thoughts. That there's a pause and just, I need to stop taste testing these potions. And so Albus, you are doing a general vibe check on the area. Ulman, what are you doing?
I think he's just kind of hanging out, keeping an eye out for Ches. Enjoying just chilling with Albus.
Okay. after about 20 minutes or so, your new animal friend and companion Ches, you recognize their coloration coming up towards ye.
I like squat down and cut my hands.
And Ches says, I followed them to the place that they went.
Great.
They make little treat hands towards you.
I didn't quite think the wording of my promise through because we didn't quite have a chance to go back to the ship. So when we are on the ship, I will make you something tasty. But I don't have anything here except, and he like reaches into a pocket and pulls out, I think, like a little an attempt at hard candy that he tried. That's maybe mint flavored.
Okay.
Ches a little shard of that.
Okay, so Ches then takes the little piece of hard candy and goes to bite on it, and it is like a dog chewing a bone, where it's just like they're trying very hard to just like sink their teeth through it. This is the first time outside of a bone that they have not been able to just sink their teeth into what you've given them. You gave them cheesecake the day before.
This one's not as soft. You gotta kind of chip at the edges.
And as they are trying to chip at the edges, you see little tears forming in their eyes as well. It seems like this mint is a spice. This is very spicy to Small Rat.
If you don't like it, you don't have to eat it.
And it like
I'll make you something better.
Like it keeps it away from you when you say you don't have to keep it. Like, the fuck do you mean? I earned this.
I'll make you a better treat. This doesn't have to be your treat. It doesn't have to count unless you like it.
They are just like letting out a series of pleased yet confused squeaks.
He like opens up a pocket for them to nestle into.
Could telepathy to the rat, could you show us where you followed him to?
And Ches says, that way. And you see a tiny little rat hand pointing out of Ulman's, the pocket that Ulman has placed. And it takes all of 5 minutes of following Ches's directions to actually get to what looks to be a 3-story warehouse. And alongside this warehouse, hanging above one of the canals, is what looks like a lifted ship. And this ship is, again, it is kind of hanging on these long ladders. And there are, it's almost like a drop bridge, in the same way that when a ship lands in a dock, how you kind of throw down a more precarious looking set of stairs way to actually get up to it. And it seems like this ship is then connected to the... I believe it is connected to the topmost floor of this here building. Yes, it is connected to the 3rd floor of this building through the crane that sort of holds it aloft.
Well, that's certainly distinct.
Yes.
And you see it's very busy. There are many people coming in through the front area of this warehouse. You can see that there are dinghies that just have piles of fish along the backs that have been rowed up the canal that are then being deposited into the warehouse from the canals as well. It seems like this is very much a place of industry and business.
Okay. So as we like go up, can we like just like keep walking and like circle back around, like not stopping stairs so that we're not arousing suspicion?
Are you just walking around the building and not walking into it, that kind of thing?
Well, like not even like walking around the building, but just like circling back the other way.
Oh, yeah. No, and it's, again, like, this is a very populated area. There are a lot of people moving about. Nobody seems to be paying attention to you.
Cool. Yeah, and we'll go back to our meeting spot, I guess.
Okay. And the meeting spot was going to be on the ship?
Thought it was going to be right outside the Alchemist Guild.
Is that
That's
where
right.
Jill and Hish thought that the meeting spot was?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Okay, sounds good. Just wanted to verify.
For ease of convenience, yes.
Okay. So, yeah, Ulman, you and Albus, by the time that you get back, you have to wait an additional 10 minutes or so for then Hish and Jill to reappear.
Well, anything fruitful?
Yeah, we found it. It's
Around the warehouse.
It's a place. I think Ulman like scoops Ches out of his pocket. I assume much to his chagrin, and like carefully hands him back to Hish.
Oh, yes. And Hish, you see that Ches has this, like, green candy? It's like it might even just be like a bead, but Ches has been, like, gnawing on this thing for quite some time.
Did you give him glass?
No. It's an attempt at hard candy, and he was very insistent on not giving it up, despite the fact that I promised him a better treat when we got back to the ship, but I didn't have anything better on me, and he expected a treat.
No, yeah, that tracks. Okay. I think he just sort of tucks him back into the pocket. You keep working on that, buddy. So we have to draft a law or a bill. I don't know
Well-
how politics works.
Technically, it's an amendment.
Turns out that the Alchemist Guild isn't technically breaking any laws. They're just spitting in the face of common decency. Like, it's unspoken that you don't necessarily do those things that they're doing, but it's nothing that they can get in trouble for necessarily.
Yep.
Seems about how it usually goes.
One bag of egg spoils the bunch.
So back to the ship to work on that.
Well, I think we should go back to the ship anyway and figure out what we want our game plan to be going forward for tonight.
Hish kind of slowly nods, and then he looks back towards the door of the Alchemist Guild, and he goes, I don't know what I would do in there, but I just want to know what it's like in there.
Just go inside.
And what?
I don't know. Pretend like you want to buy something.
Ask if they give free tours?
You can ask about the wares. I don't know if you want to go inside. No. Nothing wrong with
they
that.
are a shop. I assume they are. Well,
I think
That's
they're
the thing.
a
I don't
guild.
know if they're a shop because it doesn't look like a shop.
they're just a guild. They
I'll
do
just-
business.
I'm gonna go in and oh Jesus Christ! Wish me luck.
Have fun.
I think Hish is going to open the door of the Alchemist Guild. If it's not open, then he'll knock. But
Yeah. No, it is open. And when you open it, you are just met with like this kind of stagnant heat. Like it's like they have the heater going on all year long, but they don't have any windows open, so it just like smells like old heat kind of thing. And you are just buffeted by a banquet of smells at this point. There is lavender, there is sage, there is old fish. It smells like whale fat is somewhere in here. You're not exactly sure where that's coming from, but like there's a lot that's going on somewhere. Axe body spray has not been invented in this world, but you're fairly certain that smell is present from this alchemist's guild. And when you step inside the shop, you hear a bell ring, and that bell is situated near the door, and you hear, "I'll be just a minute."
oh fuck. Yeah, no, take your time.
And coming down a flight of stairs, you see the human man that you had spotted previously, that had used the spray can container on the door after Mr. Dory left. And you see they are... honestly, like, they look fabulous. Like, they have a very nice robe on. It seems like since interacting with Mr. Dory, they have actually spent some time getting a nice look on their face. They got the little cat eyes going on in the corners, but, like, honestly, it's on point. Who would have thought? And they look at you and kind of steep their fingers together and just, "How may I help you? I don't believe we've had the acquaintance. My name is Loquid, and to whom do I have the pleasure?"
Loquid, it's good to meet you. I'm Captain Hish Sunguard.
Oh,
just rolled into
Captain.
town the other day.
Well, Captain, you have come to the right place. Are you looking to spruce up, possibly woo a lover that you've left on shore? What's your scent? What do you have going for you? What is it?
Hish, I think, turns a little red and shakes his head and says, "No, I suppose I was just more curious about what this was. I saw someone coming out here with a parcel, so I wasn't sure what you sold here."
I sell perfumes. At least I do. Many people upstairs. Well, they also work on a variety of things. But on this floor, this is my shop. We deal primarily in scents. Others deal primarily in potions. A little bit of poisons every once in a while, but those clientele are really few and far between, and I don't particularly enjoy their company. But what did the parcel look like? Was it brown paper, a little bit of twine?
I mean, the parcel was less distinctive than the man, I would say.
Oh, distinctive man.
Not in a delightful way, more in a
Well, you are in
pungent
Moran.
way.
Most men here are a little drab, if I do say so myself. But you have real potential. I was gonna say, I really like the open shirt face, kind of flowing hair that you have. That little bit of stubble along your face. You look like the cover of a novel. Novel I'd like to read.
He blushes more and sort of crosses his arms and then uncrosses his arms and then thank you. You're very flattering. So you said you sold perfumes.
Yes. Do you have any in mind that you're looking for? You seem like the kind of rustic, handsome... I could get you to smell like a campfire, if you wanted, wherever you are.
I could smell like a campfire all the time.
Campfire all the time. Little bit
Like-
of cedar, some kind of smoky after effect. Delightful.
Yeah, I think Hish leans forward and sort of puts one of his elbows on the sort of display case. I assume that's there.
Oh yeah.
And says, "Yes, actually, I think I think I would like something like that."
Well, it's only 75 silver pieces if you're interested. Comes with at least 30 uses in it, so you can get an entire month of just campfire scent about you.
Do you actually I would be interested in that, but do you have anything more, I guess, like a Daphne or a Gardenia scent, perhaps?
Oh, honey, I have multiple scents here.
This one would be a gift, so I'm gonna have to defer to your expertise on this one.
Are you trying to find a scent that smells similar, or are you trying to surprise them with a new scent?
I would say I would say I'm trying to find something similar to something before.
And something nostalgic, almost?
Yes. My ex-wife used to grow Daphne bushes outside the house. They were her pride and joy.
Well, ex-wife, but a gift. So you're either trying to set the next one up to smell like the ex, or...
Well, no. Now I see how that comes across, but no.
I see. No. I understand your cards on the table, Captain.
I don't know that you do, but okay.
Trying to find a gift, an old scent, an ex-wife.
Yeah, he blushes more and he doesn't say anything. He just looks down.
This way. What you're looking for is going to be in our special stock. And Loquid ends up like spending some time with you, going through the different scents, like putting some on your wrists, allowing you to rub it, take a scent in, so that way you can really tell. And he does a very good job. It seems like they know a little bit of magic, where after it's a mix of gust of wind and prestidigitation. So after he has sprayed some onto your wrist and you can smell it, prestidigitate, clean slate it off, so that way you don't have like a thick layer of different colognes and perfumes that have then been embedded upon you. And kind of uses the gust of wind cantrip to really clear the air around you as well. So that way each time you're getting these scents in, they are new. They aren't being muddled up by anything else that you are smelling.
Right.
But all things considered, it was 75 gold for the campfire cologne.
You said it was 75 silver.
75 silver, sorry. That is correct. And then for the perfume that is totally not a gift for Talia, you would be looking at... it would end up being 15 gold.
Yeah, he'll put it all...
This is top shelf stuff. It's made with precious ambergris. You have to import that all the way from the Northlands.
Wow. And that's a good thing?
Oh yes. It's a very good thing.
Right. Well, I suppose he would be the expert on it. Just out of curiosity, can I also ask where you shop for your clothes?
Well, of course.
I was just admiring your jacket. I used to have a very nice cloak, but unfortunately...
I got it imported. All the way from Cholt, mind you. And he just sort of like flourishes it a little bit.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you for all your help.
Of course, thank you. And if you ever know anyone who's interested in acquiring a new scent, feel free to send them my way. And then, well, if they tell me that you sent them, give them a little bit of a discount. And, of course, you a little bit of a discount as well if you return.
Right. Sure. I'll spread the word. Thank you.
Have a good day, Captain Sungard. I'm sure she'll love it.
Yeah, he gives them a nod and steps out of the building. Is everyone still there, or
Hish has been in this building for 30 minutes.
or did they all go back to the ship?
He must really be like giving it to them in there. I bet he's getting down to the bottom of why they're dumping in the water, and he's really giving them a piece of his mind. And
They may have
I
killed
think
him.
he's shopping.
He steps out with like
A small
little
parcel.
baggie.
Oh, he's alive.
I wish I'd
Great.
Damn it.
But as Hish comes back, you all get this inexplicable scent of a campfire.
Albus sneezes.
I
Like-
got swindled.
in a kind of sexy way.
Excuse me?
Is that you? Hish, what are you doing?
Smells better than the canal.
I don't know. I walked in there and everything smelled really good and he looked so fancy and very, very flattering. And I bought this campfire perfume. I mean, I want to smell like a campfire all the time, but then I also bought perfume for Talia, and I'm thinking, well, that's stupid. She doesn't even like perfume, and
Did he charm you?
I don't think so, other than just generally being charming.
Bought perfume for Talia.
No.
Oh, Hish. Oh, Hish. Oh, dear.
Don't hish me.
I think it was good. I think it was good.
She doesn't even like perfume.
It's the thought that counts.
Well, Hish, keep going like that, and you're definitely going to get yourself a 2-bedroom house.
He's crumbling and like stomping towards the ship.
All right. So at this point, as you guys make your way back towards the ship, it is getting later on in the day. And you can see off in the distance that the tried and true vessel of your brother Meros is on its return voyage. They seem to be making their way back towards port, and you know that it'll be at least an hour and a half before they dock, and then it'll take some time. So you're looking at a early evening conversation with your brother about whether or not he was able to land you a meeting with Mr. Dory that evening or in the morning. Is there anything that you all would like to do or discuss during this time?
Can I have a long rest before this meeting? I'm
Yeah.
sleepy.
Hopefully we can do it in the morning, but I think we did want to have like a team powwow about what we're planning.
Right.
Hopefully, Ulman's
my
definitely
concern.
gonna make food for people, because we've been out all day and we need to eat.
Okay.
I don't know if you were gonna work on your bill in your room, or if you were gonna bring your nice scrap.
You're
paper
muted.
here.
No, I want to talk to everyone.
At
So
the
wait, is-
table. Homework at the table.
Yeah, Jill's doing homework at the table. she's like writing but talking and doing that thing where she's like talking and she's writing down, but she's saying, she's like, oh shit, and then she does the little spell creating spell scroll. Just start over.
I actually am curious, what time is it now versus what time we would be meeting with
Dory?
Dory.
I mean, that depends on the brother.
Yeah, the meeting has not been set up yet.
But I guess that's what I meant. Like, how long would it be? What time is it now, and how long would it be before we get to talk to the brother again?
I think about 2 hours.
Yeah, you have about 2 hours until you can speak with Maros.
Oh, that's not very long. Okay.
So, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sure it was going to be the same as what you were going to say, probably. How do we want to approach this going forward? I think there's multiple angles we could take, and I just want to make sure that we can come to some sort of agreement on one.
I just am mostly worried that we don't know how large of a enemy we're dealing with in terms of number, which makes me wary about storming any sort of hideout they have without at least a little more knowledge. One of the things I do still have that I've been holding from the our delve into the lizard folk fortress is a potion of invisibility. If we can figure out where they're hiding, I can at least do some scouting.
When you say they, where who's hiding?
Well, I assume Skothga has some sort of place he's staying, and
I'm not sure being invisible will help you there.
well, I don't want to get close to Skothga. I just want to, I doubt it's just a room. He's probably got a network of rooms. Perhaps some sort of dungeon.
What did the building look like?
And I'll describe the building. The triple-decker warehouse with the
Ship hanging off
suspended
of the side, yeah.
ship.
You said there was a ship?
Yes.
I'm just thinking back to when we were privy to that conversation. I remember something about there being a ship. That's all.
Connor doesn't remember.
I vaguely remember it was like they were doing something in the ship or keeping something in the ship.
No, there was no mention of a ship.
Oh, well.
Yep.
I guess
I listened back to it earlier today just to make sure.
Okay. I misremembered.
Well,
Never mind, scratch that.
It's been a week.
it's been, what I would like to do, forgive me for being very goal-oriented, is I would very much like to get Mr. Dory alone and interrogate him, and then kill him.
I'm just worried about that tipping off our enemy and causing them to put forward plans that they were still holding off on. Mainly being that there's a possible kraken sea monster of some kind that we have no idea how it's being contained or if it exists, and I don't want to bring that out by being rash.
Right.
Maybe eventually killing.
Oh, most certainly. At some point we will kill that man.
At the very least, once we get into a room with him, I would very much like to probe his mind for every detail.
Under normal circumstances, I would be extremely uncomfortable with that. But yeah, okay.
I trust you to be subtle about it, so.
That's the thing. It all depends on him.
Mm.
I can try. I can try to get a lot of information out of him. And I can try to be subtle, but if I fail...
There's a chance that he'll know that you were probing into his mind.
Absolutely.
She says with a pointed look.
I mean, at that point, if he knows,
I
could
mean,
you just keep trying? I don't
I
know how
could.
it works.
you've also de-escalated from that point many times.
I have.
And he has no reason to think that, well, yeah. He should have no reason to distrust us innately. So we may be able to slip up once, but
I don't. Maybe I'm just thinking rashly, but I don't understand why we're trying to be so delicate and beat around the bush with this. Like, I understand getting in is probably a delicate process, but once we're there, certainly we can just strong arm him.
Well, Mr. Dory is in a very powerful position within the city, is he not?
He is on city council. That's true. And there are several individuals in the city that are beholden to him for providing them jobs, income.
Right. I wasn't thinking of that.
We also did come across that scum, or the evidence of one, within the ward that he has a foothold in. If the scum are not beholden to him, then they're beholden to Skathgar.
makes sense to me.
Which means Skathgar is at the very least keeping his eye on that ward.
I guess I'm just maybe being paranoid, but I'm just thinking about the people coming here who we would like to have a place to meet them and be alive to do so. And the fact that we don't know how far his web stretches within this town. And we don't know what his plan is. And I don't want to show our hand and force him into a position where he's going to enact his plan until we maybe have a better idea of what he's doing, or we have a trump card at the very least.
At the moment, I feel like we're lacking in both of those departments.
Say we do have this meeting, and say we do just talk to him. What will we intend to get out of that?
I would like to gauge his intentions, see where his mind's at, how deep this facade goes. I mean, my brother's put enough, at least Ryden puts enough stock into him to trust him. It's perhaps selfish of me, but I want to know who this individual is. Am I in such sway over him? There's something outside of coin.
If you can keep that conversation going, I can at least read the surface levels of his mind.
I just feel like we're not going to get anything out of just talking to this guy. I feel like we're gonna circle back to the same position we're in now.
We might not, but we're gonna get easy, safe access into his warehouse, which may give us a better idea about if it connects to a hideout of some kind. I could use that time to investigate that ship that we saw. They could be hiding something in there. I mean, for all we know, the entrance to wherever he's hiding is underneath the water, and at that point, like, this whole line of reasoning won't even get us there. But if your detect thoughts works, or we don't find anything, then we can perhaps reposition ourselves to interrogate him.
That's another thing I'm wondering about too. You've got me on this thought of this underground cavern. Say we go in and one of our positions we take is that we're concerned citizens. The water here is being polluted. He's a city councilman. Perhaps he could have some sort of sway and, enforcing more regulations on the guilds. If we pursue that line of thought, and maybe Albus, you take a peek into where his brain's at, maybe we can see if he's hiding something.
I wouldn't be surprised if this pollution was directly benefiting Skaka and allowing him to operate secretly in the waters without being seen at all, because you can't see anything in the water.
I mean, if he's a sea creature, though, right, Albus, of some sort, then wouldn't the pollution be detrimental? I mean, it's certainly
It was
detrimental.
certainly detrimental for me.
Well, if I remember right, he wasn't like in the water proper. He was like in his own little pool, right?
Yeah.
Skothka was, or
Whenever we saw Skaska.
Blind the people to what's
Honestly.
happening with the smog and make it so that you can't see what's under their feet.
We could just ask him, where's Skathka?
We could. That's still towards the just pushing the button side of things that makes me uncomfortable, but if all else doesn't work.
I mean, we're gonna have to at some point, Ulman. There's gonna be risk at some point.
I know, I just don't even know what the scale of the risk is, and that makes me nervous. I'm sorry.
And Ulman, as you say that you don't know what the scale of the risk is, and apologize, the four of you hear the sound of a familiar voice calling out for his sister, as Maros has arrived towards your ship to let you know about your meeting with Mr. Dory. And that is where we are going to call it for tonight's session. So I would like to say thank you to everybody who decided to stick on by and join us through this wonderful journey through the city streets of the Styes. I love this game. It's a great time. Hey, Dingo, where can we find you? What do you do?
Good question. You can find me on Twitter at WheresMyDingus, where I mostly tweet about Animal Crossing and then occasionally tweet about the stuff that I'm doing. Like on Thursdays, I'm here on Indoor Adventures, and then Fridays, I am on Off the Table playing Tales from Thersha, which is a homebrew D&D game, and then alternate Fridays. So this Friday will be Thersha. Next Friday, I will be on Matthias's channel playing Songs from the Dusk in a game called None of Us Are Going Back. I play a very short himbo named Pal. He's got a little sprout coming out of his head. He's got little rat ears. He's very dumb. It's really great. I love him so much. And I actually think that's it for right now. That's all I'm doing at the moment.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy, I really don't want to die, Reeves. I was carved down to just a hilt at one point and am still paranoid about that, Reeves. You can find me on Twitter at Reeves_bot, same place on Twitch. You can find me here on Thursday nights doing this thing, having fun. You can find me on Twitch on my channel on Sunday mornings from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. PST, where we're playing some Terraria in expert mode, having a good time. About to take out the lunar cultist, so we're getting close to the end there. Don't know what we're gonna play next. Should be a good time no matter what, though. So come join us. Bye.
Hi, I'm Cyber. You can find me on CyberWolf1201 on Twitter. I post pics of my dog. I post other random ship posts, and I post whenever I go live on twitch.tv/CyberWolf1201, where I play video games real badly. And I'll talk about lore. We're doing Wind Waker. It's fun. It's happy. It's what a nice nautical ocean adventure should be. Archives of that go to YouTube, youtube.com/CyberWolf1201. You can also find the podcast at KyleWithAnN I do called Let's Talk About It, where we get drunk, do parkour, and talk about RPG stuff. There's other stuff there, possibly more to come soon. But for RPG stuff, I'm on the DM's Guild. I've got a Patreon. I am here on Mondays. I am here on Thursdays, where you're watching now. And I am here. I'm not here. I am on Pro Restar's channel on Saturdays. It's good.
Is it me? Is it my turn? Hi everyone, I'm Kylan, otherwise known as KyleWithAnN on Twitter and Twitch. I stream video games sometimes. I'm planning on streaming this Tuesday, actually. So check the Twitter. I'm gonna find out what game that is. I'll post more closer to time. But other than that, on my Twitter you can see what other projects I'm a part of. You've already heard about Pro Restarter's Telltale Black Banner game. Some other things I'm in currently. Every other Wednesday, I'm on Playbooks and Pals playing Mask Plan Obsolescence. We didn't have a session this week when we were supposed to, so I think we might be back next week, or it might be the week after. I'm not sure. The bi-weekly thing gets me thrown off. Other than that, podcast, you've heard of Let's Talk About It already. Another podcast I'm a part of is called Keep Lorelei. It's an Urban Shadows actual play podcast done by Off the Table. I play Saoirse, the Fae, and she is a very different character. Just a treat. But those episodes are available on iTunes, Spotify, Bandcamp. And pretty soon, in the not too distant future, there's going to be some crossover episodes. So my character is going to get to go to East Cedo Beach, our sister podcast, and one of their characters is coming to Cape Lorelei. So my recommendation is to listen to both. They're both really good. So, yeah, that's it for me currently. Hope you guys had fun tonight.
I know I did. Hello, everyone. If you've made it this far, you probably already know who I am, but if you don't, hey Acorns, how's it going? It's me, your buddy, your pal, your friend, the Indoor Adventurer, the showrunner here at twitch.tv/Indoor Adventures. We do shows like this Monday and Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we also have our Gunpowder Fantasy run of Tomb of Annihilation that is currently going at 7 p.m. PST, also on this channel, but on Sundays. Other than that, we also have our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from the community, but also from each other, which we are then going to be going into after this. So I would like to say thank you to everybody once again who decided to stop by. Thank you to these players for putting up with my bullshit once again this week, and we'll see you guys next time. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.